Welcome to Alberta Football Uncensored. I'm your host, Teej and with me, as always, my co-host, Omari Fraser. We've been off for quite a while. My life took a bit of a turn on November 10th when my wife's water broke 2.5 months early. So we went to the hospital at 3 o'clock in the morning that day. It was actually the day after my high school team, HJ Cody Lakers. We lost in the provincial quarterfinal to the eventual provincial champion Holy Rosary Raiders, which are on just a whole different level of high school football. That's a story for another time. But that night, I was dealing with a little bit of sadness that our season was over, and then that was quickly halted when at 3 in the morning my wife's water broke, and we rushed to the Red Deer Hospital, and then they essentially rushed her to the Calgary Hospital Foothills there because the NICU in Red Deer can only, you have to be 32 weeks, and she was only 29 weeks at the time. So we had to go to Calgary, and basically we're told you're going to have to live in Calgary until, by the Foothills Hospital until either the baby is born, which could be any moment, or until if the baby stays in there for 3 more weeks, we hit 32 weeks and we can head back to Red Deer. Long story short, we got an Airbnb, and it was the longest and worst 3 weeks of my life. Like, I tell you, like, time was so slow. We couldn't do anything. We couldn't leave. Like, my wife was could have gone into labor at any moment. There was a lot of scary stuff about being born that early. So we were really just hoping that it would last for at least another 3 weeks so we could at least be home. And we got to the 3-week mark, and we were literally going to bed in our last kind of night being there, and then we woke up in the morning and my wife went into labor on the day we were supposed to come back to Red Deer. And about 12 hours later, she gave birth to our daughter, Kenna Ray Johannessen's her name, and she was born at 3 pounds, just the tiniest thing. But honestly, one of the most wonderful things I've ever experienced. You know, luckily my wife avoided a C-section, which was almost inevitable in these situations, but we kind of held off on that, and we were able to have a natural birth that way, which is really important to us. And she came out at 3 pounds, and I got to cut the umbilical cord, and then they took her away from me and took her to the NICU, and she had all these tubes attached to her. And like, Omari, I got to tell you, like, I'm a pretty strong person. I've been through a lot of different obstacles in my life, physically, mentally, emotionally, and that was by far the hardest moment. You know, it's kind of like, you know, as an athlete, you like to feel really in control of yourself. I feel really in control of my body when I'm playing sports, in control of the situation when I'm playing. And in this situation, you have no control. And as a person that kind of needs control of situations, that was a pretty hopeless and helpless feeling. Seeing this tiny little 3-pound baby with all these tubes attached to her, and in a very helpless position. And, you know, for us, I've talked about this a little bit before on the podcast, but, you know, for us, we had 4 different miscarriages before we were able to have this successful pregnancy. So it's been a journey since 2019 to get here. And then to have this happen was just kind of like, is this real? Like, is this actually happening? Are we going to lose this baby? Not really knowing what's going to happen, but thankfully, she was a rock star and kicked butt. And 4 days after being born, we were able to transfer her back to Red Deer. And that was also a scary moment because she's this little 3-pound baby in an ambulance driving on the highway. And you know, of course, you think of just all the worst possible scenarios, right? Like, what if this ambulance crashes? Like, what if, you know, you can't not think about those things. But she made it. She spent 6 weeks in the NICU. It was the worst 6 weeks of my life. I mean, like, every day we drive in to visit her, and then we have to leave her there for 42 days in a row. But the day, January 10th, that she was heavy enough to go home and was eating her entire bottles by herself, we got to take her home. And now she's been home for almost 8 weeks. And, you know, this started November 10th. It's now March 6th. And it's like time just snapped and went like that. Like, I don't know. It was the longest and shortest period of my time. It's kind of hard to explain a little bit, but I did want to say a quick thank you to the AFL, yourself, Omari, and then, of course, honestly, so many of you guys reached out to me via text or messenger or whatever and just kind of let me know you were praying for me. And I got to tell you, you know, I've struggled with religion along for a lot of my life, but I really felt God in those moments. I felt the prayers in those moments, and I believe those really helped along the way. So I really appreciate the AFL. You guys are awesome. Um, I know I talk a lot of shit on this podcast because that's what we do, and I'm going to continue to do that, you know. But in this moment, I'm going to say thank you to everybody who reached out. It meant a lot to me. It really, really did. So, Omari, that's enough of that stuff. Let's get into the real stuff. How you been, man? What's your life been? I know you're a little bit older of a dad than I am, but a new dad too. So we've got two dads doing it. Maybe we should name the podcast to the Two Dad Podcast now. I don't know. What do you
Yeah,
think?
yeah. We should just whole rebrand and move things over. But no, things been good. Life's been good. It's life's exciting. Seeing Arden grow. He's now 20 months. He's now at a point now where
Wow.
he's very very active, very moving around. I can play catch with him here and there. Like it's been fun to see him do that. He loves getting in the field. Loves playing in the park. So it's been really fun to see him develop develop and grow. We actually head to Mexico here following Friday on the 14th, so it's gonna be really exciting to take him on his first trip, first flight, first trip. Just like it's really cool to see all the firsts for him
Are
and
you
have
gonna
him
golf?
realize it. We're gonna try and golf. Yeah, we're going to Mazatlan, I
Ah,
believe.
I'm jealous.
Cartel capital. I'm joking. I guess I'm joking about that. But I guess it's on the west side of Mexico, so it's going to be awesome to see what that side looks like and um to be able to dive in on actually getting a break. 'Cause it's been a while since I've had a vacation because it's just been a lot of go, trying to go COVID, this, that. Like all those things happen, but it's nice to take our first
Yeah.
family vacation. So I'm
Yeah.
excited for that. And like one thing I'm really excited for is like take him to the gate and see a plane and have him just be like, whoa, like look at this
Yeah.
big machine. Because right now he loves cars. Like
Oh yeah.
he loves cars. He loves like the Hot Wheels, the truckers, all those things, and he likes the movie cars. I know there's a lot of parents out there who talk about having like, screen time for the child. I get it, you try and limit it, but there's some moments where you just need to get stuff done. So it is what it is. Our go-to movie is Cars at the moment. Um, I've 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 basically seen that movie now, what, like 10 times over and over and over, and he just loves it. So it's fun. It's fun seeing him grow there, and just it's crazy to think in a few months he's gonna be two and like time flies like that. So um, definitely an exciting time. Things are good, business is good. It's been a little slow start for the start the year, but as we get into the springtime and everything, it always heats up. So definitely can't complain. It's trying to be present and like navigate things one step at a time and moving through things, which has been good. And as well, trying to make sure I stay in good shape to play as well another season, which is always one thing that's on top of everything that we got going on. It's still finding time to make sure, okay, as an athlete, can I make sure I do my checks to make sure I can perform at a level I can perform at and maintain because as I'm sure you got a taste of, it's the I find as a dad our capacity automatically just has to grow. Like for all the things we want to do, it just automatically has to expand.
Yeah, and you're doing it on less sleep too, right? So it's like
That
it's
too.
adjusting to that. And it's funny because when Kenna was in the NICU for 6 weeks in Red Deer, we live in Sylvan Lakes, about 25-minute drive to the hospital. And I would drop my wife off, and then I would go to the gym, and because that's just what I just needed to do something. And so I've spent more time in the gym. I'm usually a 2 to 3 times a weeker. I'm a minimalist in what I do. I get in for half an hour. I lift as heavy a weight as I can for as many reps as I can, and I do one set of a bunch of different compound movements, and then do some sprinting and play some squash, and that's about it. But I spent way more minutes in the gym than I usually do because that's just what I needed to do at that time. So I'm
Mm.
feeling great. I feel in just excellent shape, and I'm really excited personally for the 2025 season on a personal level and also on a league level. I think there's some really exciting things happening. We're going to discuss a lot of that today on the podcast. We'll touch on a bunch of different topics, and then we'll get into our team season previews after this, and really get the rock rolling again on this. I'm really excited to get back to doing this. I've missed being able to do the podcast, so I'm really excited to get going. First of all, I guess let's talk about the AGM. So that happened, I guess, December 14th or something like that, middle of December. I think you were there, or you were a part of it in
I
somehow.
was
So
there virtually. I just gave like a social media review just of
mm,
like how everything was doing league wise across YouTube. all the streams and whatnot, because that's now been a part of our league that's really grown. And we're going to start, I ideally wants to start seeing some fruits from all the effort everyone's been putting in.
Yeah, is there any new updates you have on the YouTube, the live streaming? Have you thought of any, what's going on for this year?
So one thing that's we're just shy, like we're at like 867 subscribers, just shy of 1,000 to get monetized. We have the hours of watch time because that's the one thing that is easy for us as a league channel to do. Get the hours of watch time because people will watch the 3 hour half game all the way through or not, or bits of it. So we're quite good on that end. It's now getting teams to all fully wanted to set up their streams and everything. Because I know there's a few teams that do it all the time. Some will do it when some teams are in the area, all those things. But one thing that people probably noticed during the national, I was able to run some ads. So people probably saw my face and Chad Weeb up in GP with Solar that he does. I just basically ran those ads back and forth. And so I really wanted to showcase the next level of, hey, look, like we're sending him stream, getting views, and then as well allowing ads to run through because now it opens up doors to sponsors where you can say, hey, we have a platform now that we stream our games on. We get 300 to 2,000 views a game, depending on how it goes, and we can run your ads on it, and that's open up another avenue for teams to advertise too. So I wouldn't be surprised if Cold Lake, Gators, Elite, all of them hop on just because it's going to be something now that you open the door for another asset that you can use to help monetize and run the team. So that's something here now too, where I'm going to be working on putting together a package just to like send a team, say, hey, send this out to your sponsors, just so they can see how it works, where it goes from game to breaking the game, run an ad back to the game, and just have you can sell packages to saying like, hey, we'll run this ad 10 times, 20 times, all those things there, because it'd be cool to have that be now money generated for the team, which also then generates overall the stream for YouTube and everything from there. Because I think on a league wide, out of the 2 years we've been running it, we've been getting monetization from memberships, and we have like $45 of money, I guess, in our YouTuber account. Doesn't get triggered until $100, but that's now money that's generated from non AFL players. It's all just from fans watching everything, which ideally goes to websites, trophies, anything like that, which can be used to help run the team. So it's nice to see the fruits of the labor, and we're pushing the level as we go because I know there's a post of the Power Five out in Ontario. They just announced that they're going to have all their games live streamed professionally and everything, which great for them, awesome. But AFL, we do have that power to do that here as well. Just we have more of a hands-on approach to being able to do it through YouTube and our avenues here.
Yeah, and I think I saw that post with the Power Five. For those that don't know, the Power Five is a league that's split with the NFC down there. So there's actually now two leagues down there. And I'm hoping, I don't know, Mari, if you heard, I didn't watch the entire AGM, but did they talk at all about incorporating the Power Five into the national championship conversation, kind of like the CGFL does with the three leagues?
No, I wasn't there. I wasn't there for that, or I missed out on that part. I kind of just did my social media bit, and I know the meetings always go quite long, so I was in for my bit, then dipped out. Um, but it'd be cool to see the Power Five get in, the Maritime figure out a way to get in, as well the Quebec League, because I think it'd be cool to see it to where like, all right, if you're gonna have AFL, NFC, maybe Power Five and Maritime work something out to where they have a national, because men's football is alive and well, and it'd be cool to see is elevated again to that next level.
Well, I think that automatically just ups the respect and the I can't think of the proper word for it, but just the class of the league, right? Like what the AFL is, what people think about it, getting away from that kind of beer league mindset, which I've always fought against because you can't play beer league football. Like you guys, like you'll die if you do try to come and show up drunk at a football game. I'm sure some guys have tried it before, but I think if you've got the Maritime League, if you've got the Power Five, you've got the NFC, and you've got a Quebec League. I mean, you've got four leagues down there. You could run kind of a semifinal between two of those leagues, like Quebec versus Maritime, and then Power Five versus NFC, and then the winners of those play each other, and then the winner of those play the AFL. Now, obviously, the AFL then gets that auto buy into the thing, and that's the only way you'd be able to do it because of travel, right? Like you're not going to get
Yeah.
an Alberta team traveling out to Ontario to play a semifinal game and then a final game. But I think having that conversation again, I'm just kind of speaking off the cuff here, I'm sure you could have a deeper conversation. More guys could have ideas, but I think if we can get those leagues involved in it, I think that's just a win for everybody. I'm excited to see the Power Five coming out and trying to basically put a new breed on men's football in Canada. Like everyone who's listened to this podcast knows that I've been screaming from the mountaintops to update the AFL from getting a new trophy, which we're going to talk about a little bit because I know that was talked about at the AGM, which is interesting to me, considering I got shut down for years about that, and now everyone's talking about a new trophy. But I think that they are trying to modernize the men's game and make it more accessible for people, and that's what we need to do in the AFL. That's what you and I are trying to do. That's what you're trying to do with your YouTube. So anything that heightens the awareness of men's football in Canada is good for everybody, and I am 100% on board for. Let's go to the trophy thing now. I'm a little bit annoyed because I tried very hard to get a new trophy because our league trophy is terrible. Like it's not something that you really feel that great about lifting over your head, especially in comparison to something like the Grey Cup. Now, I'm not asking for a Grey Cup. I never have been, and I got laughed at for this. I had a sponsorship from Supplement King for $1,000 to buy us a league trophy when I was president, and they wanted to call it the King Cup, and I didn't care because it was a new trophy and it was going to be $1,000 trophy, which I think you could make a pretty badass trophy for that. And I basically got laughed at. But just like all good ideas, at first they get laughed at, and then a couple years later, everybody's talking about it. So that's what's happened now. Of course, they talked about the new trophy. They don't want to call it the King Cup, and that's fine. I hated the name too, but when Supplement King's going to give you $1,000 for it, you kind of have to throw them a bone a little bit. But I believe they talked a little bit about adding on to the current trophy, like building something underneath it, which I think is a step in the right direction, but I think that's wrong to do. I think what you do is you take that trophy that is our current league trophy and you turn that into the MVP trophy of the game. And then, or you just retire it altogether. But I think you could turn that into the MVP, and then you build a brand new trophy. You find a sponsor for it, or you find a cool name for it, or that has something to do with Jeff. I think it's called Jeff Moulton Memorial Trophy. You could keep that name and do whatever you want. But I was happy to see that. Found that a little bit funny considering nobody wanted to hear about it when I talked about it. But whatever. I'm not spiteful at all or petty. So I'm glad they're going to be doing that. Schedule came out. I think the biggest thing that we have to talk about now, I think the biggest news of the AGM is the acceptance of the Leduc Lightning football team, headed by the Williams family, who are ex-Airdrie Irish members now. And the funniness that comes with this is obviously, we've talked about on this podcast before, the drama that was Airdrie. There was a bunch of defectors that defected and basically blamed Josh Williams for all the bad things that were happening. Look, I'm not one to ever listen to one side of a story. I think there are two sides to every story, but we're just going to report it with what we know. If Josh wants to come on the podcast and tell his side, Josh, we are more than happy to have you on the podcast. That's what we do. We don't censor anyone. We want anyone who wants to come on here to be able to come on here. But the story is that the culture was kind of toxic. People didn't want to be playing with the Williams, and we didn't know what to believe. And then all of a sudden, this Leduc team pops up. I kind of saw them on Instagram a little bit. I actually messaged them at one point and was like, hey, do you want help getting the word around about your team? It'd be a really cool idea to have Leduc in the league. And they were very secretive. Like, they didn't want to tell me who they were. They didn't want any publicity. They were kind of doing everything behind the scenes. I thought that was kind of weird. It was kind of sneaky a little bit. I didn't really know what's going on. And then all of a sudden, the Williams brothers show up and they're presenting for the Leduc Lightning, and they got accepted. So what are your thoughts on that? Have you spoken to any of these ex-Airdrie guys? Have you spoken to any of the current Airdrie guys about what they're thinking? And what are your own thoughts about this? I think this is kind of wild. I'm excited they're in the league, but the fact that this is how it went down after the rumors about the toxic culture in Airdrie, I think that's kind of wild.
It's gonna be quite exciting to see a new team in the league. I think that's obviously good for growth. New team. We're now just shy of seven or not 8 teams. 18 something. I think
We
we're
have
at
eight
18 here
exactly,
now.
which
Eight
is awesome
exactly.
because
So.
we get that 7 games and none of these bye weeks that aren't the long weekend bye week. So I think that's great.
Mhm. And I do think that's great to have, obviously, the 18. So I definitely love that. I'm excited to see now. I think the week one, if anything on the schedule, is going to be what Irish versus Duke. So the league was like, all right, we gotta light this up here to start the season off. So I
That
think
was a
it's going
good
to be
idea.
interesting to see how that game goes because I know there's a lot of stuff there, and it's tough because you know no with what happened last year in all the culture, they kept it all within team. Normally spoke about it outside of the team and everything, which I think that was one thing which they wanted to. I think both sides wanted to move forward because, of course, there's the side A, side B, right, side C, and end of the day, how we're gonna treat this is just where and those who are involved, right? Hopefully they can come forward and share. And this is where we want to see. Um, but as it goes for the Duke now, I'm interested to see the team they put forward because now I feel like being a new team, you could either position yourself like, are you like, how are you positioning yourself as like the team that's gonna come in and compete, or are you trying to go for the kill shot and go right to the Gators? And so this is now where like we're gonna see like how's the recruiting been, how's it been, all that stuff to try and do they come in because I think everyone got shell shock of like how good the Gators were like after hiatus came in wiped everybody. And as a new team, do you try and model that and who do you bring in? So I'm excited to see who they bring in, and I think everyone now. I think this is what caused a bit of drama was everyone was waiting to see if the entire family. I think we want to make sure we clear it up where it's going to be from what I understand. Jacob Williams is going to be the one who's running the team, not Josh. Josh is taking a step back from the league, so it's going to be Jacob, Noah, and their dad. I forget their dad's name, but it's gonna be them running the team. That's from what I know, understand. So I think everyone can lay off Josh for if he's gonna be the quarterback. I think the reason why everyone assumes that he's gonna be the quarterback is because if your brother's running the team, it's an easy call, text, say, hey, might come in and throw him for a bit and get him hooked. Because end of the day, we can't fault Josh for being a good quarterback, and I think he did lead. He was a second team All Star. I think he led the league. He was second in passing. I don't believe I'll have to check the stats here, but I know he had a good season of passing and everything. So you need a quarterback who can put up yards, who can run. He's a threat. We can't deny he was a threat on the field. Like, and anytime he dropped back, everyone's like, "Hey, he could throw it or run." And if he ran, you're like, "All right, well, we got Jalen Hurts back here who can run at any time." So this is now where it's going to be interesting to see who they have at quarterback because the Williams family is talented at football,
Yeah,
and I
their
think that's one thing
dad.
you can't take away from them.
Yeah, I believe their dad played in the league for the Edmonton Stallions back in the day and was quite the player. And I know you can't not taking anything away from him. Josh is a good quarterback. I think like all quarterbacks, he has his faults, and but he's definitely a threat out there, and they're good athletes. I can't think that Leduc won't be good. I believe that they're working very hard to recruit. I think becoming a new team in Leduc is attractive to people. I think
Hmm.
people in the Edmonton area would be attracted to play. You know, playing. I'll be honest. Like I've spent 12 of my or 13 of my 14 seasons in the AFL for the Bucks, and then one with you guys in Calgary. And playing for a small market team is just better. Like you get more fans, you get more engagement in the community. Leduc will show out. Like Leduc is a great
Oh yeah.
not just football town, but Leduc is a great sports town. Like Leduc is a very big sports town, and they're good at their sports. Their basketball team is their girls' basketball team is number one ranked in the province right now. Their boys' basketball team's had some really good years. I coached senior boys basketball from 2015 to 2021 for the Lacombe Rams, and we faced Leduc one year, and they just they're just a little small school, but they put together really good athletes. They had one of the best players in the country on their team. Like literally, he made Team Canada. A phenomenal player. So I think Leduc's going to show out. I think they're going to get a lot of local athletes, which is obviously great. I think getting local athletes is the best thing about this league. Being able to get those kids in there, which means they're going to get lots of fans and lots of support. I wish we were going to Leduc this year on the Bucks, but they're coming to us because I'd love to play in those environments
Hmm.
as well. So. But that will be interesting. They're going to have really nice jerseys. Like they're doing a good job, kind of like a Hamilton Tiger Cat type color scheme, which I
Ooh,
really
yeah, yeah.
like. Yeah, and I believe that's also the color scheme of their minor football program. So they're keeping in touch with that, which I think is a great idea. I have nothing against the Williams brothers at all. I just find it funny that they were kind of sneaky about this, and this is what went down, because I kind of took what these Irish players were saying about them and the toxic culture for a grain of salt, because like I said, I'm not somebody to just believe people, because there are two sides to every story, and humans like to embellish, and when they tell stories, kind of make themselves look better, obviously, in a story. So, but I just thought it was funny that this is how it happened, and maybe we'll never get the story, but if you want to tell the story, Josh and Williams family, like, this is the place to do it. So come on here, because I am interested in how all that went down. Speaking of Airdrie now, where do they go from here, Amari? Like, they lose their quarterback. They've still got Sagan. They'll still have Vardo back. They've got some athletes. They've obviously have a good running game. Their defense is okay. It's good, some good athletes out there. But where do they go from here? Like, is this a panic moment for them, or are they going to be? Do you think they'll be all right?
They'll be all right. This is now where I know we're gonna touch into like how both our teams are doing, but this is now one thing where this off season I treated it as a chance to like, hey, I'm approaching it as a free agent, so I haven't did my release to Wolfpack or anything, but just explore my options just because I'll share a bit more on what things are happening in the Wolfpack den here. But when I went to Airdrie workout here, they've 40 to 50 plus guys out, a lot of reps, a lot of guys out who are new returning, returning plays and everything for all different levels. So obviously there's chugging along right now, and this is where me coming in, I knew like, okay, like last year you'd hear all the stuff that everyone was talking about and all the hearsay and everything. So like, hey, let me just see what the energy is and like try and get a vibe. And everyone was just excited to get moving forward, get onto the neck, onto the upcoming season. You could tell everyone it felt like there was a renewed, fresh sense of energy and life, just from everything that I was hearing and seeing, and just from how everything was all there. I know one thing that they brought in a high level coach, Coach Tim Kears. He's going to be helping them out with the receivers. So this is now where they're really buying in on ensuring like they got players, they got staff. All right, upping the level of the staffing just to get that, um, really push forward to that next level because. As we all know, the standard of the standard of the league rose, and the Air Yards have been doing the work to improve on that. So excited to see what the work they put out, everything and see. I think for the quarterback situation, I share a bit here just from the transfer portal. So Memphis Wells from the Wolfpack is now transferred out to Irish to fulfill that opening quarterback spot there. And I also believe they have some. Hashim Rasad, and then a few others who have also, battling out for the QB job there. So it's going to be interesting to see who they put on the field. Um, Dominant running game, running backs, O line that look good there. Defense, they got their D line back. That's one sad thing from the Wolfpack side. We lose the D line here, but they now all went back to Irish here, so they're really trying to lock and load. And this is kind of now where I've said it again, and I'm going to say it. I said it once, but I'm saying it again. Everyone's really just trying to put together a roster that's going to match up to the Gators. Right. That's all
Yeah.
people have been thinking about is like, man, like, okay, how did the Gators come in so much? And so I know with things that are with Wolfpack and everything now, you're just trying to really assess and see because no one wants to get 60 pieced again.
Well, and that's yeah, it's going to be hard. I bet that Jordan Heather comes back this year for the Gators, and at the end of the day, this is a quarterback-driven league. It's a quarterback-driven game. If you don't have a quarterback that can move the ball and score you points and get first downs, like you don't actually have an opportunity. You're not going to win. And Jordan Heather is going to be the best quarterback in the league, unless
I
Brandon
got
Lay shows up somewhere. But I doubt
I
that's going
got
to
stuff.
happen.
You want
Yeah,
to hear something?
yeah.
So from the men's workout, this is now where what if I told you the Gators about to have two head crying quarterbacks?
I think that's selfish. I think that's rude.
um,
I think that's silly, and I would like to formally make a pitch to whoever the second Het Crichton is to come to Red Deer because we've got a good squad down here. We just don't have a quarterback, and if you like throwing 50-yard corner routes, I'm your guy. So, and every quarterback loves throwing 50-yard corner routes, and most receivers can't do it. So, and most quarterbacks can't do it. But if you're a Heck Crichton guy, we have a spot. Why would you want to sit on the bench of the Calgary Gators, whether you're Jordan Heather or this other guy who I'm hoping you're going to name drop? But why would you want to sit on the bench? Or you remember when the Gators did the? Were you around when the Gators did the Darrell Eason Jordan Heather split time?
I heard about it. I think I watched the game actually when I was this is during the time when I was playing Colts, so I think I came out to watch a
Yeah.
game and I noticed that they were just doing two different QBs, but I really noticed two different styles of offenses. That's one thing I really noticed.
It was the dumbest shit I've ever seen in my life, to be honest with you. And like what quarterbacks need to get in a rhythm, get in a roll. And kudos to Daryl and to Jordan, who obviously were able to do that. But it literally was like when Jordan was on the field, they ran his offense, and when Daryl was on the field, they ran 55-55. So like it was 100% or 83 short, right? Like it was, you know what I'm talking about. So it was, running back flares. So they ran two different offenses. There was no rhythm. I thought that, and I thought that was silly. So come to Red Deer. We've got a great group, and you've got some fun guys to throw the ball to. So what's his name?
But before I say his name, because I feel like I don't want to spill the entire beans out for what Kurt's cooking, because I'll give the comment to Kurt. You've been cooking. Like, I also went to a Gators workout to get some work and everything because this has just been a thing now where I'm
You're just
really
pimping
trying to
yourself out, eh?
pretty much because like this is now where I'll dive into what's been happening on the Wolfpack side of things. But I was
Yeah.
like, hey, look, I'm testing everything out because
Yeah.
I really wanted to. Well, I guess I'll stop sharing and then go into whatever I'm going to say here. But Kurt's been cooking like we all know we're all trying to beat Kurt, but Cook's just moving the needle further ahead, and I know some of the guys are hungry. So the name of the quarterback is Chris Merchant, the one of the
Didn't he make
quarterbacks.
Team Canada?
Yes, he did.
Oh my God.
And you know
So
what it was?
and Jordan Heather didn't
Yeah,
even make Team Canada, which by the way, I think I didn't see the other quarterbacks, but like, come on,
bro.
man, like what
It
happened
was
there?
like, I guess we're gonna have an episode where we're gonna talk about the senior Canada team and like talk about a QB room to pick. Like, I think they had Michael O'Connor, Jordan Heather, Chris Merchant, and another three players, all high level like yards at U Sport, yards at like all plaid CFL experience. Like,
Is Chris living in
how do you
Calgary?
pick? Uh I believe so. I don't want to share. I don't. I believe so.
All
I
right,
believe
Chris.
he did.
I'm gonna find Chris and I'm gonna send him.
But you know what it
Sorry,
was?
Kurt. I'm recruiting Chris.
You know what it was? It was the senior men's tryout because I believe we were trying out. Chris came out. Chris came out to throw. I played against Chris like spring league and everything, so it was fun like just chopping it up. And I see Kurt there with the clipboard, chatting and everything. And I remember running up to Kurt and I'm like, hey, you got one head crying. Leave this one for the rest of us. And Kurt worked his magic. He came out, helped him throw during the Nationals. So in that bye, when Jordan was away, Chris came out,
Yeah.
was throwing with the team. So it was one of those matches to be. So I mean, it's pretty hard to tell like when you're throwing a band, throwing a Xavier in practice, the guy's probably gonna be like, yo, this is kind of nice. So um, either way, how it works out, definitely excited to have another high level quarterback in the league. Um, however they work it out, like guys thought that you get a break on a Gators when it was, oh, Heather's not here, so we're gonna have a chance here. Well, they just kind of solved that plug in the fix that hole there. So we'll see what happens. So Brandon Lay, hey, you need to call him up, get our retirement. If we can have
Okay,
like a
let's hold. You know what? Brandon is a. I honestly, I love Brandon Lay. I think he's one of my most favorite teammates. Um, he is in like I don't think he listens to this pod. I'm not sure if he listens to the podcast or not, but he is. I bug that guy probably too much to come out and do many things from golfing to squash to flag football and to of course bucks. And the amount of times that man has to say no to me is I kind of feel bad for him, but I like to ask him to do things because he's athletic and he's fun to do things with. And I'm always like, well, maybe if he comes golfing with me today, I've got 4 hours with him on the course that I convince him to come play football again. So I think he's figured out what I've been trying to do, though, and he's very nice about it. I gotta say, he's a very nice guy and very nice about turning me down when I ask him to do things. So although you know what he did do not this past summer, but the summer before, I was looking for a partner to play a scramble in. And I just asked him, and I was like, he's definitely going to say no. So but I'm still going to ask him. And he actually said yes, and we almost won the tournament. So that was a lot of fun. But I would
You know what?
love Brandon
You
to
know
come
what
out
it
and play
is?
football again.
He maybe I don't know Brandon, but maybe he just knows like, man, if he gets me for this 4 hours, he's gonna hook me in. Like,
That's
it's one of
it.
those things where like the hooks are out right now, and like maybe they're just there, but like you're gonna say, hey man, like team needs this, so we got this going, we
Well,
got and
I
like
know for a fact that Brandon Lay loves throwing the football, and he especially loves throwing 50-yard corner routes. And now that I have kids too, he's got kids. My next thing is like, look, man, and I'll say, if I hope you're listening, Brandon, you need your kids to watch you play football. You can't
mhm.
just have them grow up and be like, well, daddy used to be awesome at football, but they never saw it. So let's get out, let's play football. Here's the thing about Brandon too. If Brandon decides to come play again, which there's a 99.9% chance he's not going to, but if he did, the Bucks would immediately become a contender, and not just because Brandon Lay would be back, but because with Brandon would come a lot of other people that
Yeah.
haven't been back since Brandon played, and that would be a resurgence to the Bucks. So, and I don't mean to put any pressure on Brandon or make him feel bad for me, but I don't know how much longer I'm going to play. I think physically I can probably play for as long as I actually want. I take care of myself really well, and I feel as good as I ever have, but I also understand that football is a risk, and I have a baby now, and I want to be around for a long time. So I don't know how many years I have left playing, but I sure would love to play on a good team and a championship caliber team again.
And just imagine as a quarterback as a league to then put out like AFL, you have the sheriff Daryl Leeson, right? The gunner dropping bombs, Jordan Heather, Chris Merchant. We'll have to find a nickname for him. Brandon Lay, and then that leaves the other four teams to get a quarterback together. Like you got all very high level quarterbacks who played high level. Not to knock anyone else who hasn't played. Like I don't want to say that, but like
Wow,
all those guys
these
who
guys are
have
in a different
recognition
level.
across Canada. Like these guys across Canada know them, which is
Yeah,
like crazy to have in the league. So,
yeah,
um, hey man,
yeah.
it's a dangerous time. So things are cooking. This is where I'm saying like the league's in a great spot right now. Quarterback play is up, views are up, podcasts are up. We're
Yep.
cooking.
If you hear this and you're Brandon's friend, send him this clip, this minor recruiting clip. Brandon, we need you, we want you, and we miss you. And come golfing with me this year and give me 4 hours to convince you because I think I can do it. I'll just start running routes on the golf course and you can just throw me golf balls and you'll just get that kind of like that itch again. So I
Mhm.
know he loves throwing the football. I know he does. And he's looking good. I saw him coaching the Raiders, and he was looking good. He was looking in shape, looking like he was maybe ready to play football again. So we'll have to see if he doesn't come back. Chris Merchant or Jordan Heather, we'll take either one of you guys on the Bucks. I know Jordan, he flies in from Ontario anyway, so just come a little bit further. I think we've got an airport in Red Deer. I don't know what lands there, but I don't fly because I'm
I
terrified to
I
die.
heard
But
they're gonna do a renovation on it here coming up soon to make it more regional. I
oh
hear
yeah.
that's what they got coming up.
All
That's
right.
what I heard on the
Well,
real estate
there you
side.
go. So Jordan, you can fly in for the minimum 3 games. I think it's rude of the Gators to try to bring in another quarterback. I think that's them telling you that maybe they don't need you. Maybe they don't like you as much. I think it's kind of a slap in the face, and I think you should be completely upset about that, and that you should look to maybe get some revenge on them and show them what they're missing. But hey, that's just me. So, um, and the thing is, Omari, as you know, like it's just I've got to play with Daryl, albeit later in his career, but Daryl and I had great success together. Brandon and I had great success together, and there's nothing better than a quarterback that can throw a good football and also keep you safe, right? Like,
Hmm.
not throwing the suicide passes. I think Brandon threw me one in my life, and he told me afterwards that he was slightly concussed when he threw it, so he felt bad about it. But I was like, that's okay, man. Like you never throw. That's the first one you've thrown at me, and it was just a little 5 yard hook, and the guy just destroyed me, and then picked me up after. But yeah, let's talk about you guys. So what's going on in your life? You've just already mentioned you've been to a couple different workouts. I've actually thought about going to a couple workouts, seeing what's out there as well. But you've been to a couple workouts. So what's going on with you personally, and then what's going on with the Wolfpack?
Yeah, so I guess there's been a few conversations that have been had just with like a few guys on the team where they didn't. There was a big disagreement on how the season went and how it was handled and managed and whatnot. So. A lot of guys were having conversations of like, hey, listen, like we don't want to have a repeat of last year. And there was a lot of back and forth here, and like there's a meeting that we had to have with Wolfpack just to fully get on the same page and everything, because it was a case where we're just like, how are we looking? Because if things are going to be the exact same, you know, there could have been a transition of players to other teams, and it was a thing where guys wanted to see the efforts being put into um just to like move us forward, because you're seeing Gators Gators move the needle, Edmonton move the needle, Grand Prix move the needle, and like the needle wasn't moving for Wolfpack, and that was the thing a lot of players were seeing. Were like, well, like things just weren't moving. Like, are we trying to like go for another 1-5 season, or are we at least trying to work towards a, you know, 3-5, 4-4, like something like that, just to where like there's progress. So that was where now one thing probably you guys probably noticed was Wolfpack wasn't as active. I actually pulled back a lot of the efforts I was putting towards a team where I was like, well, until there's a meeting, until there's some sort of alignment on how things are going to come together, like I'm going to pull back my effort, because it's a lot to, you know, put a lot of effort to the social media, the recruit calling, trying to get new ways to market ideas, all those things that are essentially free. Um, and like take time away from the family, the work, this, that, like I don't mind doing it when it's for something, but when you feel like I'm doing the same thing over and over again for the same results over and over again, like something's got to give. So this is now where I really reserve myself, and I said, well, I'm just going to treat it as a free agent. um I'm not going to get my release just yet, but check out Irish, check out Gators. I was actually trying to make it up to check out the Bucks too. I was going to surprise you on the workouts to make it up. Just timing just didn't work out just on some of the workouts. So
Oh, damn,
um
man.
maybe if you guys have anything in in March here, maybe we could try or April. I just want to see like where things are at, because I was like, well, like I want to see what's out there. And I did. Everyone's gonna say, "Oh, you were just gonna stay with Wolfpack." Like I honestly gave it like a full, true like lens and everything. I will say like Gabe, like again, Kurt's been cooking. Like he knows the right thing to say. A little bit of Cajun here, a little bit of salt here, a little pepper here, and next thing you know, you're really things are looking really good. So, and like the other aspect too of it too is I think people don't account for is the spouses. The spouses also play a big role of where you should go. And like any girlfriends or wives in the league, they're the players, they're their players or husband's agent, let's be honest. So so
That's a
this is
great
now
point. Yeah.
this is now where like talking to the family, because there's also that decision of a family side too that you make where, hey, how are we looking for the summer? Do I have time to play? Are we trying to travel a lot? All those things. And you know what role am I going to have? And I'll just put it blunt, like my girlfriend Maddie, she was like, "You should just go Gators. Like, you do so much for the team, this and that. Like, just go play Gators. Yes, it's a change in pace, but it'll work for what we do." So, I guess I put that out there. So I'm expected to hear some messages from it. But it was one of those things too, where nice thing for Wolfpack, had that meeting, got a chance to work some things out, and you know, bring what was to the table, find solutions, and now we're on the implementation side. So we're excited to see now how it works out, and there's a lot of excitement now moving forward. So this is now where you've probably noticed, we're back on social media, or me with the videos, whatnot. Like people like the workout videos. I don't really care. It drives interaction and reach, which also drives other things. So it's all part of the system that gets recruits in, or gets eyeballs on us. Um, and just really trying to grow there. We had a good showing on our first workout. We had 26 players. Good chunk were new, which is exciting to see. And then we have announced our second one coming up here from March 22nd. So things are looking good, and it's now really trying to keep up with the implementation side, because this is the other thing too. As a player, you also have a lot of control. Like I could really ask for my release the day before a game, and then go
Yeah.
play another team on specials. Like I can literally play specials and run around and go make tackles. Cool. Like it's one of those things too, where as a player you do have a lot of control. So I'm excited to see the things roll over, but as well, we got to stay true to what was the solutions and the implementations on it, because it's easy to talk, but actions got to be had, which I know a lot of guys are excited to see. And I think with my excitement and now excitement from the captains and leaders, we'll see that now show forward. So let's keep it going with that.
Yeah, I mean, the Pack have been such a integral part of the league for so long, and I think they just got stagnant there for a while, and honestly, for quite a while. And especially after 2019,
Hmm.
it just kind of especially with Airdrie building up and then the Gators coming back, like it's tough, right? But I think that it's really good for the league to have a strong Wolfpack team and a group of people that is giving you guys what you need, which is commitment to practices and commitment to recruiting and commitment to doing things a little bit differently. I have seen Daryl around. He's planning on coming back this year again.
Yeah, yeah, he's planning on coming back. I know last year was a tough year on his health, and nice thing that's all now past and everything. He's been able to
Good.
get in the gym, get some push-ups in, make his throw. One sec. Arden, what are you doing? Arden. Oh, he
Dad
might be hungry.
life.
I might give him a snack here, but he's been
My
looking good
yeah,
here.
my Ken is crying in the background too. Luckily, my wife is gonna feed her, so yeah.
Nice. He opened the pantry here now, and he wants a cookie, so I'm going to get that for him. But I'll finish up my point here. I'll let you say your thing here.
Yeah.
But he's looking good. He's coming back. This is now where um, yes, I'm coming. This is now where he's excited to come back. And our main objective when it comes to this season for building a team is protect Daryl first. We understand he's an older quarterback, right? Maybe not as mobile as he used to be. So protect him first. We need to go either max 8, max 7, whatever it is. Protect Daryl first, and we'll find guys to throw to. So that's kind of what we're building around and definitely building the run game. I think we got embarrassed by running, 200 yards, which me being one of the backs too. Like I'll have to wear that, eat that there, but hopefully we can change that here moving forward. I'm just gonna grab Arden a cookie here.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's Amari's just going to run and grab a cookie for Arden, but I think that's a good point that Amari made. Daryl's health, I'm glad to hear that he's healthy again. I know he was going through some stuff, and that's obviously never nice to hear. So, really glad to hear that his health is doing well, and B, that he's going to come back and play football. I personally don't know what the AFL is like without Daryl Leeson playing, so it would be a bit of an end of the era for me. If Daryl wasn't playing, hey Omar, I was just saying to the listeners that I don't know what it's like not having Daryl Leeson in the league. So I'm glad
Hmm.
that he's going to be back and throwing the football. That's a sight that I'm used to seeing and I enjoy seeing. And it's just I think Daryl's kind of a role model for everybody. A guy that plays the game of football because the love that he has for the game and the respect he has
Hmm.
for the game. And I think that's a really cool thing. So. Really good to hear that things are kind of on the right track. We're in a similar spot with the Bucks too, as far as like I've been vocal with leadership. I've always chosen to not be a part of the leadership of the Bucks. Mostly probably because I'm too opinionated about things, but I don't like sitting in long meetings and formal meetings and stuff like that. So I've never been a part of it, but I've made my obviously my voice clear on some things that I need, especially as someone going into my, I guess, 15th season in this league and still playing at a high level and wanting to play at a high level. I want to play with an opportunity to win football games. I would like there to be commitment from the coaches, which we've struggled with in the past few years. I don't like taking on coaching roles as a player too much. I think it naturally happens every year, and
Hmm.
that's okay. But I would like to have somebody there that is there all the time and being the head coach and making decisions. I would like to have consistent practice numbers. That's a big thing for me. I don't want to show
Hmm.
up and have 15 guys at a practice, especially since we practice in Lacombe. So it's a 30-minute drive from my house in Sylvan, and it's just a waste of time and money, especially now that I have a little baby here that I want to spend a lot of time with. But I'm very optimistic. I think cautiously optimistic, and I'll be real. Like I've thought about playing somewhere else this year as well, and that's definitely not off the table for me. If I show up to Bucks practices and there's 15 guys at practice, I mean, that's probably going to be a one and done for me, and I'll probably just leave and ask for my release that day. So I hope the people in charge are working and working hard at recruiting. I don't want to waste my time this year, and I also don't want to be unsafe. I think the older you get, the more aware you get of how dangerous this sport is, and how lucky we are to play it and to get through games healthy. I've been lucky in my 24-year football career to have missed, 3 total games or two total games ever. I've played every single game that I've ever had except for 2 in 2014 when I separated my AC joint. So I want to continue being healthy, and I want to have guys that are committed to the team and ready to go. So I think you're most likely will see me back with the Bucks this year, unless something doesn't go the way that I want it to go as far as a commitment from coaches and players. And I haven't really thought about where else I would play, but I'm sure I'll have some options with that. But I hope to be back with the Bucks. I hope that the Bucks, we figure this out. I love the Bucks. I love playing in Red Deer. I love, like I said, playing in the small town or the smaller town. And I want my daughter to see me play football. That's a big thing for me this year too. I'm really looking forward to having her in the stands, even though she may not fully understand what's going on at that time. She'll only be, 6 months old, but 6 months adjusted. She was 2.5 months early, but I'm looking forward to that and holding her after the games and taking pictures and all the stuff that comes with it. I'm looking forward to the guys that are on the team, playing with, Brett Bilsma, who I've coached for a number of years and now get to play with. I really enjoy that. Ruben Breitenbach, I really enjoy that. I enjoy playing with those guys. I enjoy the guys on the team. Tony Morelli is one of the funniest guys in the league. We've had him on the podcast before. Just a great guy to be around.
Man, handout therapy time.
Yes, exactly. So, and I'm sure we'll have him again. So I'm looking forward to it. I really hope it goes the way it does. And I hope that we can be competitive on the field. And I think that, I think we can do that. I think we've got some good pieces in place. So I'm really excited about the season. I'm excited to just see how 8 teams in the league again goes, and how games every week, and 3 games, or I guess 4 games every single week, right? So it's not, last year we had like 2 games a week and stuff like that, but now even for the podcast, we've got more content to talk about. We've got more games to go through. We've got more things to talk about after the games because more things are happening because there's more games. And with the YouTube and all those things are going up, I think 2025 is going to be the best year the AFL has ever seen. I don't think there's any reason why it should not be. So it's March already. Like, we're talking in 2 months, teams are going to be outdoors practicing and getting ready for the first game on May 31st. So I think that's just great. Okay, I got to probably wrap it up here. Baby is crying a little bit, and I'm getting a little bit time to do some daddy duties. But Omari, anything else you wanted to talk about before we leave?
Nothing else that comes to mind when it comes to the football side. Like, I think just moving forward, just want to definitely, we're excited to get back to it and like cover some football. If anything, I wanted to, you know, just really check it, like, if anything, check in with you, just with like with everything that happened with the birth of your daughter and everything. And it's a journey that like, everyone always talks about the female side of it because they're the ones that grow the baby and do everything, and we just sit there. But I think you probably found, and I realized too, when Arwen was born, and you get to have the emergency C-section, where like you find you get mentally tested in those moments, and
Yeah.
you find a new level to yourself of how helpless you can be, but then how you can rise from it. And it's awesome to see you go through that and come out of it now, and I feel you say you're better for it. So it's an exciting time, and welcome officially to the Dad Club. I think
Yeah.
I think that's one thing the AFL is I think is a secret of ours, is where like a lot of dads here, we always support each other, and like when it comes like field aside, when it comes to the dad stuff, we always support each other no matter what. So welcome to the Dad Club. I'll send you the paperwork forms over to all that. We
Yeah.
got great golf discounts. We wear the
Oh, hell
Nike Air
yeah.
Monarchs. Grilling becomes instant. All
Well,
that
yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, that's a great point, and it does. What I've realized in this journey is not only how strong I actually am and how strong I was able to be, but just how strong my wife was,
Mm,
and like I don't like sitting on the sidelines and like seeing this stuff happen and feeling the hopelessness and the helplessness was it's very very difficult. Uh, but seeing her go through that and seeing her actually have the physical pain and the trauma, and I'm even the four miscarriages we had before this one, and seeing her have to go through, that's the toughest part, right? As a husband, is seeing your wife in pain, whether it be mentally, emotionally, physically, and not being able to do anything about it. Because I think as
hmm
men, we're protectors, right? Naturally, we want to protect, we want to fix, we want to solve. And when you can't protect and you can't fix and you can't solve, and you can just kind of be there and put your hand out and have her squeeze it as hard as she can, and it's difficult. But then seeing her go through that stuff and get through it like a champ, and then she goes through the labor, which was incredibly painful for her, and the birth and all the things, and then the baby being taken away from her right away, and then she just has to transform into motherhood, right away, and do all those
hmm
things, and the pumping and the breastfeeding, all that stuff is mind blowing. And so I've always loved my wife incredibly much, but yeah, that's really grown for me. Seeing her go through this and just seeing how amazing that was. And so it is, and rightfully so. We do talk about the women a lot in these things, but I do think it's important to talk about the men in this too, because we do have to be strong. We have to kind of put on that brave face and get through this stuff too. And it's you can't realize what it's like until you actually go through it, And obviously, I'm sure you felt the same way. You don't even like seeing her being born and the feelings and the emotions. Like you can't. Everyone can kind of tell you like this is how it feels. This is how it is. You can't replace what it actually is when it actually happens, which I think is so cool. So I appreciate that, Omari. It's been everything is just so good now. She is crushing all her milestones. She's gaining weight just as more than she's even supposed to. Like she's impressing everybody, and she was everybody's favorite NICU baby. So I mean, I'm sure they tell everybody that, but we're gonna take that to heart. So. Yeah, I appreciate that, Omari. We're going to get going again. We're going to be at least doing once a week, maybe a little bit more too, as much as time can be permitted. So we're looking forward to get back into it. Yeah, and that's pretty much all for me. So, Omari, you can say what you need and then send us out.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing too, now with both of us being dads, we wanted to extend, a way for those who want to support us here. We've actually set up a buy me a coffee link, which I think is quite fun here. As you know, we're running off minor sleep. Yeah, is that true? So it's always fun. We do everything we can to work here. So if you feel like you want to help support us, support the show, help buy us a coffee, dark roast, lattes, cappuccinos, you name it. It all goes to help us here, and just the small things like that to move forward. So you can check the link in the bio, in the description here, wherever you got the YouTube, and feel like you want to help out. Cool. If not, don't worry about it. All right, little things like that always help out and go from there. So appreciate everyone who does. As it goes for to end and wrap us up here. You can catch all of our episodes here on Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube, anywhere where you get your podcasts. Hope you guys are excited about the video format that we have here now. So trying out some new things here. It might be audio, it might be video. We're trying something new here. So hopefully things work out, and ready to roll this out to you guys here soon.
Okay, awesome, Omari. I will. Oh, hold on a second. I'll just stop this here.